Russian President Putin affirmed that Moscow never intended to control Kiev. Russian close combat UAV took down one of Ukraine's most effective UAVs. Revealing weapons that exceed the interception ability of the Patriot defense system. Germany suddenly blocked a new sanctions package targeting Russia. Russian President Putin affirmed that Moscow never intended to control Kiev. President Vladimir Putin said Russian forces had no plans to attack Kiev as they advanced on the Ukrainian capital in the early weeks of the conflict. During a meeting with Russia's top diplomats on June 14, President Putin said that Ukraine and the West continued to speculate about the intentions of Russian units as they advanced toward the outskirts of Kiev late February 2022. However, no political decision was made about sending troops into the city of 3 million people. No matter what they say, it is because of their lack of thinking, Mr. Putin said. According to President Putin, Russia advanced toward Kiev at that time to convince the Ukrainian government to ensure peace. The Russian army is there to push the Ukrainian side to enter negotiations, try to find an acceptable solution, and in this way end the war that Kiev started in Donbass in 2014, he said. The Kremlin owner added. Putin said that, at the time, Russia's move opened up negotiations, which in turn led to agreements in principle, suitable for both Moscow and Kiev, referring to the talks between the two sides in the Turkish city of Istanbul at the end of March 2022. However, the negotiations later broke down and failed to achieve results. On March 29, 2022, we withdrew our troops from Kiev because we believed it was necessary to create conditions for completing the political negotiation process, but our Western colleagues then determined that the Ukrainian government cannot sign such agreements, with a gun pointed at its head, Mr. Putin said. According to Russia, Kiev and the West have stated that Russia's withdrawal from the Ukrainian capital region is not a gesture of goodwill by Moscow, but the result of military successes achieved by the Kiev army. In April 2022, U.S. President Joe Biden said the Battle of Kiev was a historic victory, which the Ukrainian people won with unprecedented support from the U.S. and its allies. I think it is clear that this provocation explains the rejection of the results achieved in the negotiations. The path to peace is once again rejected, the Russian leader added. Russia in March 2022 announced the withdrawal of military forces from Kiev and cities in northern Ukraine. After that, Russia focused soldiers and weapons on the east, aiming to completely liberate the Donbass region. In July 2022, Mr. Putin explained his decision to withdraw from Kiev, saying, "To facilitate negotiations, our army withdrew from the center of Ukraine, from Kiev. The Kiev government refuses to implement these agreements, even though they have in fact been reached." Meanwhile, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said that Russia had given up its goal of controlling Ukraine's capital Kiev after 5 weeks of launching a military campaign. Russian close combat UAV took down one of Ukraine's most effective UAVs. Russia used UAVs to intercept one of Ukraine's most effective drones. According to Business Insider, recent videos recorded on the battlefield show Russian UAVs repeatedly defeating Ukrainian Vampire bomber drones. Some videos show Russian UAVs rushing straight into enemy UAVs and committing suicide attacks. Others show the Russian UAV dropping weapons on Baba Yaga, causing the Ukrainian UAV to explode. Previously, according to Western and Ukrainian observers, Kiev's Baba Yaga UAV caused some damage to Russian forces and was considered one of the most effective drones. However, the latest video shows that Russia knows how to remove this UAV. Baba Yaga are capable of avoiding detection and can fly at high speeds, allowing them to attack targets effectively. Ukrainian UAVs can track targets during the day using a standard camera and at night using a thermal imaging camera. The ability to fight day and night makes them much more effective than other UAVs, despite their higher cost. Hand-to-hand combat between UAVs does not take place often in modern combat in general, and the Russia-Ukraine war in particular. Russia often uses electronic warfare and air defense to shoot down enemy UAVs. Revealing weapons beyond the interception capabilities of the Patriot air defense system. According to Reuters, Ukraine's air defense system has shown that intercepting Russia's Kinzhal hypersonic missile is beyond Kiev's capabilities. The comment was made by the British news agency after Russia carried out its latest attack on a series of targets in Ukraine using many different types of weapons, including Kinzhal and Iskander-M missiles. The Ukrainian Air Force Command said that early on the morning of June 14, Russia deployed 10 Kh-101-555 cruise missiles, 1 Kinzhal hypersonic projectile, 3 Iskander-M tactical ballistic missiles, and 17 Shahed-136-131 suicide drone (UAV) attacked Ukraine. Air defense with the Patriot Corps shot down 7 Kh-101-555 cruise missiles and all 17 suicide UAVs in the skies over Khmelnytsky, Kharkov, Mykolaiv, Odessa, Zaporizhzhia, Dnipro, and Kirovograd provinces, the agency said, but did not mention Kinzhal and the 3 Iskander-Ms. Ilya Yevlash, Ukrainian Air Force spokeswoman, later said that Russian forces had targeted many military targets and essential infrastructure in the raid. The leader of Khmelnytsky province said that 11 targets were shot down in the local airspace, but added that the attack caused an infrastructure fire. Ukraine later released flight data of Russian missiles and UAVs, showing that most of the weapons were aimed at the city of Starokostiantynov in Khmelnytsky province, while Iskander-M missiles launched from the Crimean Peninsula targeted the area near the city. Zaporizhzhia city is controlled by Kiev. Assessing Patriots' helplessness against the attacks of Kinzhal and Iskander-M, Tyler Rogaway, an expert from the U.S. military website Warzone, said that Patriot is one of the most modern weapons systems used by the West. Transferred to Ukraine. This weapon can help Ukraine's air defense more effectively deal with air raids, but it is not perfect and still has certain weaknesses. Russia started with simple efforts, using a minimum number of modern missiles to hit the battlefield, with the main target being radar. If unsuccessful, they will launch multiple attacks using UAVs, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and Kinzhal, all of which work closely together to overload Ukraine's air defense network, especially the Patriot system, Rogaway commented. This scholar believes that one of the Patriot's biggest weaknesses today is its phased array radar signal. This radar signal can help the Patriot system detect targets from long distances, but its high intensity makes it stand out amid background noise. Knowing that, Russia's electronic warfare forces can completely receive this radar signal, thereby tracing the location of the complex. Patriot's radar signals can also be collected by satellites or Russian reconnaissance drones. The risk with Patriot is huge, it can be hit at any time, said Tyler Rogaway. He said that in a number of previous raids, Russian reconnaissance sought to track radar traces and discovered Patriot positions on the outskirts of Kiev and launched a missile to probe, and the projectile was intercepted by Patriot. Russian forces seem to have detected a characteristic signal from Patriot's radar and launched a massive attack to overload the Ukrainian air defense complex and no longer be able to resist. Germany suddenly blocked a new sanctions package targeting Russia. According to some European Union (EU) diplomats, this is the first time Germany has opposed the passage of the bloc sanctions package targeting Russia. Some European Union (EU) diplomats told Reuters news agency on June 14 that the bloc could not pass the 14th sanctions package targeting Russia due to opposition from Germany. For more than a month, officials from the 27 EU member states have discussed the bloc's 14th sanctions package targeting Russia, including a ban on liquefied natural gas (LNG) imports from Moscow and a plan to force the EU companies are responsible for sanctions violations by their subsidiaries and partners in third countries. The new sanctions package also includes measures to limit Moscow's shadow oil fleet. According to the above diplomats, EU ambassadors were expected to discuss and decide on this issue on the evening of June 14, but the topic of sanctions was withdrawn from the agenda at the last minute. Hungary has previously opposed EU sanctions against Russia, but this time seems to support this 14th sanctions package. However, EU diplomats said Germany expressed reservations about the impact of the sanctions package on third-country subsidiaries and partners with which German companies do business. In the past, we always blamed Hungary, but now it's Germany, a diplomat told Politico. According to Politico, Germany is worried about expanding the above sanctions, forcing EU companies to ensure their customers cannot sell sanctioned goods to Moscow. Previously, goods banned from trading with Russian companies only applied to guns, battlefield items, and dual-use goods, but now Berlin is concerned its small businesses will be affected if this happens.